You know, sometimes I get the impression that the BBC don't really understand what cuts mean. Yeah, I did actually just say that, didn't I? Hi, it's me again, and the BBC are talking a good game lately with the amount of cuts they're making. All the cutbacks they're making to local radio, for instance, or to BBC News, or even to programming. They're making all these cuts everywhere, but then, with the little bit of money they save, it's gone. They recently appointed a BBC head of orchestras, which we talked about on this channel. It's got to be a six-figure salary, if not a bit more. I don't know, but they look after, how do the BBC have? Is it 6 or 7 orchestras? But then you see this, because they made all the cuts to local radio, and then they do this. Look, the BBC has announced the next intake of assistant commissioners who will be joining BBC commissioning teams following the announcement of the fourth phase of the assistant commissioner programme last November. Well, quite the copywriter put that paragraph together, didn't they? So the next intake of assistant commissioners, so not all of them, the next intake, which means they've brought some more on recently. The fourth phase of the Assistant Commissioner Programme last November. The fourth phase. How many phases of Assistant Commissioners are there? I mean, it says here, it's not a permanent job, look. The 7 successful candidates will be joining a year-long placement with development opportunities at the heart of the BBC's commissioning teams across the UK. So it's like a job experience programme, but probably with a half-decent salary and some expenses, because you're going to have to travel if you want to be a commissioner, right? And then development opportunities. So they probably will get taken on. I don't know. How many commissioners does one company need that they're in the fourth phase of the Assistant Commissioner Programme? How many commissioners does a company need? I don't work in telly. If you out there, I know some of you out there do work in telly. Tell me, either email me privately or mention it in the comments below. How many assistant commissioners can you possibly need that you've got to run this in so many phases? It just astounds me. I don't understand it. The assistant commissioner roles based in Wales and Scotland and the assistant commissioner documentaries role based in Northern Ireland will report jointly to both the nation's and the network's head of commissioning. The assistant commissioner children's role based... This is just the BBC all over, isn't it? When you read this, it's the BBC all over. Just nonsense jobs scattered all over the bloody place that are reporting to other people who are already all over the place. It's the BBC all over. This is why they can't make the 3.7 billion quid a year they get in TV licence fee stretch, because they're just doing absolute nonsense like this. If you run your own company, you've got to streamline it and make everything as efficient as possible. BBC don't have that problem because they're not profit-based. The BBC boss, Tim Davie himself, said we don't have to worry about making profit in a speech the other week. If they had to worry about making profit, this kind of situation couldn't happen, and the BBC would run more efficiently and they would make their money stretch. It's crazy, isn't it? So there's 7 new assistant commissioners. I won't read their names out, but if you want to go and read this story, this is on Televisual. It's a trade press for telly stuff. Sometimes I stumble across it. I always put a link to this down in the description below. But you've got to admit, it's a bit silly. The BBC being a bit silly. Can't believe I just said that as well. I'm all over the shop today. What do you think about this then? I think it's just indicative of everything that's wrong at the BBC. Everything's scattered about. There's no streamlining. It's just a mess. And it just burns money running your business like this, doesn't it? You tell me down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because that way, hopefully I'll see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da.